we are live. We have been live, and we have covered many great topics about empathy and vulnerability in terms of coaching, and we have spoken about the common barriers that men come across, in prioritizing their own health, and you know, my good friend here, Pete, has also discussed how individuals how he helps them to overcome the addictions. So this has been really enlightening, and we're really happy that we have you on to chat with us today. And now the next question I was having is, let's say, how do you find this balance between accountability and being supportive, with your client? Because sometimes, like you said, first the client has to trust you to really being vulnerable with you, right? So how do you create that accountability and being supportive? Because you gotta be as a dad or as a grown up to tell them, by the way, this is wrong, this is right, and we can work towards this one to be better. I'm sure they're among the conditions for them to be your clients, they should be open to being corrected and being held accountable, correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that, my friend?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there's probably lots of different schools of thought on that. To
Right.
be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, the way I approach it, and I'm today,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm learning,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say the way I approach accountability is like, and you say, that the way this is beautiful what you said, like they're an adult,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're a father.
Mm-hmm.
This is assuming that they're mature,
Mm-hmm.
right? That they're accountable to themselves.
Right.
But oftentimes, the guys that I work in some way, shape, or form, the guys that I work with, oftentimes in some way, shape, or form, they haven't been accountable to themselves. Hence why they're hiring somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because they need that accountability partner,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm really trying to help them do
Mm-hmm.
is to learn how to be accountable to themselves. Because if they can develop that skill,
Mm-hmm.
that awareness, that muscle, that growth,
Right.
when they're done working with me in 6 months, a year, 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're gonna be able to self-regulate. They're gonna be able to take agency, or excuse me, have agency in their lives. And
Right.
often a lot of these guys, the guys that I work with, in some way, shape, or form, they've found an external source
Mm-hmm.
to help them cope with life, right? And so what I mean by that, if you think about it, most of the time, some sort of addiction has
Mm-hmm.
developed because there's some sort of emotional dysregulation that could
Mm-hmm.
have been rooted in trauma and pain, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what do? You reach outside of you and have a
Right.
beer.
Mm-hmm.
It could be pornography.
Right.
It could be work.
Mm-hmm.
That you're reaching outside of you that's helping you uh, regulate your nervous system, basically, is what you're doing. Right? That's like the scientific level,
Mm-hmm.
but that's basically what we're trying to do in
Mm-hmm.
these things. In addition, so what I do to helping men and how I be accountable to men is I have to walk with them.
Mm-hmm.
I have to walk side by side with them because they're not ready to be accountable. They're not, and they're in their mid 30s to low 50s. The guys that I work with, their
Mm-hmm.
fathers, they are fine on the outside. They
Mm-hmm.
are paying the bills. Their
Mm-hmm.
kids are safe. Their kids are
Right.
doing well. You know, things are okay. But what they don't realize is that in some way, shape, or form, they've never fully matured into a self-dependent, self-reliant adult. And this isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can look into attachment theory. I'm not sure if you're familiar with attachment theory,
Mm-hmm.
but if you think about it, there's four types of attachment. Three of the attachment types are
Mm-hmm.
insecure. So guess
Right.
what? The
Mm-hmm.
majority of people in the world have an
Right.
insecure attachment, and what that means is basically that they have a challenge in some way, shape, or form with self-regulating or um, over reliant on self-regulating, like over reliant Like, I don't need help. I'll do everything myself.
Right. Right.
And that part too is also, that actually isn't help. That's not helpful. That's not
Right.
good when you say I don't need help, but you really do.
Right.
Or the other side is I need
I need
help and I
help.
always put it into someone else's hands, right?
Right. Right.
And so the accountability piece comes in, me helping me understand how these men are internally. And then I often will ask men at the end of the coaching session, like, okay, what are your next steps? What are the compassionate next steps you want to take? And how can I help you be accountable? Or what
Right.
kind of accountability do you need? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's, dude, can you check in with me in 2 days? I'm like, sure. Or it's like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what, I'm going to tell my wife that I'm going to do this. I
Mm-hmm.
ask them because they have an understanding. And
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't work, right, I will boldly say, and let's say 3 sessions in, well, hey,
Right.
I've noticed that with discernment, not judgment, hey, I've
Right.
noticed this is what you've done,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like it's not getting the result that you're intending it for.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do about that?
Right. And by the way, hopefully, like you have some some suggestions to him based on that topic, of course, right?
100%. I
Yeah.
always have ideas, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the sometimes I have to jump in and advise
Mm-hmm.
and advocate, but
Right.
sometimes I just put the coach hat on and I let them discover
Right.
that what they need, because that's really powerful, Suli.
Right. Right. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. So my friend, can you let's say, can you offer for us this I some advice for people, because sometimes we have this idea of seeking help being a problem, you know so how can dads that are being hesitant to seek help change their mind going forward? How do they fix this limiting belief going forward? So what do you advise them, my friend?
Mm,
Almost repetitive, but
yeah, I'm
but
trying
it's
to I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to really connect to my heart right now,
hmm
because logical advice is has not gotten through to most
hmm
men.
hmm
There's two sides of the mind, basically. One side's kind of like the logic, and the one's kind of like
hmm
this emotional, generally speaking. I'm not going to get into
right.
details, but right. And here's one way to look. Here's one way to think about it. If you constantly just use the logical side of your mind, the
hmm
analytical, the take action side of your mind,
hmm
you're only using half your brain. There's this other side that is where happiness is found.
Ambiguous and awesome.
Yes,
oh,
exploration,
oh man,
curiosity,
yes.
awe,
hmm
wonder, play,
yeah.
joy,
hmm yeah.
forgiveness.
Yeah.
All of it. We haven't even talked about forgiveness today. Don't get me started. But
The whole
my
gratitude, everything. Yeah.
yeah, but my point is, here's I'm gonna use this example. And again,
okay.
it doesn't mean that I'm telling everyone this is the answer, this is the way. I'm just
Right.
giving a metaphor.
hmm
Think about Jesus, for example. Pretend like he
hmm
lived. He was he was a carpenter,
hmm
right?
Right.
So he used that analytical. He could build stuff.
Right.
That's really cool, right?
hmm Right.
But then what was he known for?
hmm
What is Jesus known for? He's known for all the
Miracles.
things. Yeah,
Miracles, the carpentry as well. Yes.
nah, not
hmm
really carpentry. He's really known for
No, we know about
forgiveness.
that too, my friend. Right?
Yeah, but what do people really take in from Jesus? It's love.
Oh, that's absolutely yes.
Do you know what I mean? And so my point
Yeah.
is, that's a different side of the mind,
hmm
different side
That's
of the
true.
brain.
Right.
And most men,
hmm
they're, let me get over there. And so why am I sharing this? Because how can you, if you're hesitant to seek help,
hmm Right.
I'm going to encourage you. How could getting help
hmm
you love the ones you care about the most, more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your
Right.
kids, do it for your wife, and then eventually you're gonna realize, oh my God,
I was missing out.
no, I've been miss exactly, man. You're gonna be like, oh my
Right.
God, I've been judging myself. I haven't been loving myself. And so if you're having a hard time, do it for something bigger than you. Do it for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for something bigger than you. If you can't do it for yourself, that's okay. That's just where
Mm-hmm.
you are today. That's okay, man. And it's okay to need help. There is no one
Right.
in this world that hasn't got help in some way, shape, or form. So that's what
Absolutely.
I would say is how can you empathize with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
stop judging yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
realize if you have shame about getting help, that in itself is a problem.
Yeah.
That in
Yeah. So
itself is
you
a
need to.
limiting belief, right? That
Absolutely.
should tell you.
Absolutely.
That should tell you something. Like, you know what? I have shame
Absolutely.
about getting help. Wow, I guess I should probably get help because that right there is a problem. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Thank you, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
It does. It does. Thank you. So, I don't know how much time left for you, but I was just wondering, did you want to chat a little bit more about, let's say, how did you get into this? What sparked you into being a coach?
Sure. Yeah, I got a couple time, a little time. Um,
Okay.
how did I get into this? Someone I was at a networking event the other day, and I
Mm-hmm.
told my story in a way, and the guy goes, "Oh man, I see. So a big piece of why you do what you do is your street cred."
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, "The street cred, like, hey man, this dude,
Right.
he's got some
Yeah.
street cred. He's got some experience. You know what I'm saying?"
Right.
And so that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool, coming from a guy
Mm-hmm.
who sold drugs and did drugs back in the day when I was a teenager. I was like, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
But what is my street cred?
Right.
My street cred is been there, man. I've struggled
Mm-hmm.
with anxiety, depression, not feeling like I was good enough,
Mm-hmm.
not feeling worthy, not feeling like I belonged,
Right.
struggling with addiction the majority of my like I used pornography as a kid and found that as a way to
Mm-hmm.
help me cope,
Mm-hmm.
and I used it for the majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was one. Drugs. Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me. I smoked a lot of pot when I was a kid. I started using alcohol, and so
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've been in the pain. I've been in the trenches,
Right.
and I've gotten out.
Mm-hmm.
And now that
And
I've gotten
this is
out,
powerful. Mm-hmm.
and now that I've gotten out, I just feel like I want to help other men get out. Like I want to
Mm-hmm.
extend my hand. I know they're down there. Hey man, I see you, brother. Come on.
Right, right. That's right. Lift him up.
You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I struggle with anger.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fun fact for all the guys listening. Challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You may be using anger, but pull up the feelings wheel the next time you get angry. If you don't do it in
Mm-hmm.
front of your wife, your kids, go in a room, like I need a couple minutes to myself. How are you really feeling? I promise you, almost always, the men that I work with, you know what? Fear. Fear. They had the bigger emotion was fear or shame.
Mm-hmm.
They felt bad. They felt
Mm-hmm.
unworthy. They felt like they weren't a good father. And so what do?
Mm-hmm.
We act out in anger because part of it's like, I don't like who I am. I'm going to take it out on somebody else, which is
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
we do it.
Mm-hmm.
But so I
Right.
share that with you
And
because I struggle with anger with my kids. I didn't have the
mm-hmm.
best relationship with my children. So when you ask like what's my story a little bit, it's like I struggle as a father. And I love
Mm-hmm.
being a father. I was a single parent. I was a
Mm-hmm.
single dad the majority of my life. I had a one-bedroom apartment. I had tore my ACL. I decided to go back to school. I lived on the third floor, and I was going up and down this third floor with two little kids under 3, with
Mm-hmm.
groceries in one hand and
Right. Oh,
a crutch in the other. I didn't have a
right.
car. I was going back to
Mm-hmm.
school. I was 30 years old, and
Right.
I was struggling, man. I went back to school. I learned. I changed my life. I got my degrees. I got a master's degree from a guy like me who
Right.
who
Right.
came from the family that I came from to go and
Right.
get my degree. Like it just
Right.
showed me, man, there's no one in this world that can't go and do stuff like that. No matter where you come from, if you try, if you
Mm-hmm.
believe in yourself a little bit and just keep freaking moving forward, There's
Right.
nothing you can't do and you can't become. But you got to work on the things that are in the way, Suli. What's in the
Right.
way? If you got this thing that
Hmm.
you want to do, what's in the way of you achieving it? And in some way, shape,
Right.
or form, if you don't work on that thing, you're never going to get to where you would desire to be. And
My friend.
I promise
Hmm.
you, man, if you take the thing, if you work on your mindset
Hmm.
and heal, I say heal, like start loving yourself and see that you got pain and start taking away the unhealthy coping mechanisms, I swear to God,
Right.
your life will change.
That's beautiful, my friend. And that's why this is actually a very good point for you. Selling point, not necessarily selling, but is a point that somebody will feel comfortable working with you because you've been there. Do you understand? Like you being there is something very powerful. Like is somebody that people can relate and actually not necessarily relate. They'll feel guilty because they'll be like, I didn't have worse than this guy, and look at what am I doing? So let me go hear from. So definitely when you tell somebody, they will understand, and they will not argue as much because, come on, what are you arguing about? It's like you going, uh, yeah, no, no, I'm definitely with you, my friend. So
So
do you?
Suli, here's a little story about that. I'm gonna give
Uh
you
huh.
a 15, 20-second story. Yesterday,
No, no problem.
I had a call with a guy. He's a
Hmm.
potential client, right?
Right.
We had a
Hmm.
coaching experience, potential client, and and at the end of this coaching experience, I always ask, how was this for you? And this guy's 50, and he's 50, 53, 54, 55, something like that.
Hmm.
Had tons of therapy, been in rehab, been an inpatient. He's doing great in his life now. He's doing fairly good in his life. But he's had therapy, he's had coaches, he's been inpatient, he's been outpatient. You know what he said to me yesterday? I almost freaking cried on the call. He said,
Hmm.
I've never felt as safe as I did today with you than I've ever have. I've always felt like I couldn't be vulnerable. I couldn't share how I was really feeling. This is important because I felt
Right.
like if I shared how I was really feeling,
Hmm.
the person is not going to help me and I'm going to feel rejected.
Mm. Yeah.
And so he was
Most of
afraid
the
to show
patients.
himself in his coaching and his therapy because he felt like they were
Right.
going to reject him. They weren't going to help him. And then
Right.
he would feel a sense of rejection. And we talked about a lot of the coaching session was that he felt rejected the majority of his life, but that he was
Hmm.
in many ways abandoning himself. And so I said, if you're going to abandon yourself, you're going to try to change yourself because you're afraid of someone else rejecting. What I helped him understand, like, dude, in some way, shape, or form, you're abandoning yourself.
Right.
It's like, oh my god. And
Amazing,
so,
boss. Amazing.
yeah.
No, this is important, because I think most of even the patients, that when they go to the hospital, you have some people that have trouble, let's say, with uh, if it's like like the finances or whatever, or just the addiction. It's hard for them to be 100% compliant or honest because they worry about being judged. They worry about missing whatever. There's so many things behind things, so it's good to you know when you're talking to them, the way you share your story, things that they can relate, and there's no judgment. I mean, that really, it it creates a playing field. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, my friend.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that we did have this powerful conversation today with practical insights. Peter, definitely thank you, sir, for these like golden nuggets. It's something very profound, but only people that really listen to it and work on it. And
Mhm.
if people that really want to, if it resonated with you and you would like to know more, definitely you have to contact my friend Pete. He's on LinkedIn, Pete Armstrong, and I'll be sharing his details. And soon he'll be having his website. So this is amazing. We're looking forward to that, my friend.
Sully, will you hold me
And
accountable to that?
oh, absolutely. And by the way, please, I do have something that is very, very important. Let's say, first, if you can go ahead and let's say subscribe to dadpuzzle.com, you know all the social medias that we have, follow Pete. And if you do have something that is bothering you, okay, or something that you're working on, Pete is available. You definitely have to contact him and work with him, and he'll be your accountable guy, coach as well, and we also available here as well. So, and like my friend Pete mentioned, I'll be there for you, my brother. If there's something, I'll be pushing you. I'll be following up with you for the next couple of weeks. Make sure that things are moving in, like in the yeah, because a lot of times we plan, my friend. We plan a lot of things, and let's say we don't really follow up because let's say we don't put it in our calendars. There's nobody asking us or pushing us. So now you've been speaking this on this podcast,
I'm putting it
and
out
we'll
there.
be having
I'm
it.
putting it out in the
Yes,
world.
sir. That's it. So I think you have the strongest push so far.
Yeah.
So dads, please remember that your well-being is the foundation of a strong family. So let's
Mm,
build something incredible together, one puzzle piece at a time, just little
mm,
by little. You don't have to be Mr. Perfect to today. Just one at a time, and with time you'll notice the difference, as Pete mentioned about his going with school, like you had to push, and with time, look where you are now. So this is amazing, my friend. And please go ahead and contact us if you do have any questions or suggestions. You can write them on the Dad Puzzles Facebook group, or you can go ahead and go to dadpuzzles.com. There's a contact us page. You can write your information there. It's totally like confidential, and we can be buddies. We can help each other to achieve our goals together, because we're really, me and him, we really share. Me and Pete, we share so much because we are in our beginning stages. I've been doing this for a minute, but I haven't been doing as much, so I need to really make it more, almost like full time, to make sure that we make that impact. Because there's a word I don't know if I can say it in media, because now you have to be careful about cursing. You don't want to be half apples with things. You have to make sure that you have to make sure that you do a good job. So really, that's my goal going forward. And I don't know, Pete, did you want to share anything else, my friend?
I do. I want to share that you're a gift to the world, and that you are. I'm talking about you,
Oh,
Sully.
me?
Yes,
Oh my
Sully,
God,
you're a gift
me?
to the world, man. And
Oh,
from the moment I met you, I knew you had a good soul. You have a heart to serve, and you want to help fathers. And I think it's part of what I
appreciate that.
shared too, is that you got street cred. You know what it's like to struggle as a father, and
Right.
you care so much about your family that you decided that you're going to take some of your pain and turn it into to joy by helping other men. And so I just want to say thank you, man. Like I see you, dude. I'm glad that I
Mm,
get to know you more now, and
right.
thank you for this opportunity, man. And I encourage you just to keep following your heart, man, because I think what you're creating here is lovely. And I love you,
I
man.
appreciate that. My brother, I love you too, and thanks so much for doing this. And brother, this is another thing, we're not used to getting that honest feedback like this. So
Mm.
my brother, thank you so much for doing this. Folks, please be in touch with us, and we look forward to having you in our next episode. Thank you again.